You are listening to the continuation of the story. You can listen to the previous part via the link in the description below this video. Happy listening. No, I can't call him on the phone. It's in the shower, and I don't think Dad wants it dripping all over the carpet. Well, if we knew that you were going to call, he, of course, would have gotten up earlier. No, Mom, you don't need to make an appointment to talk to your own children. Just accept the fact that surprises don't always go as planned. Just ask Dad. No. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Look, maybe if you call back later. Oh, I see. Yes, and Merry Christmas to you too. When she hung up, I put my arm around her shoulders. She raised her hand and took my hand. They're going to Jonah's parents for lunch, and she forgot about the time difference. Is David really in the shower? No, he had just left when you called. I couldn't tell her that he didn't want to talk to her. She buried her face in my shoulder. It's so terrible to be between two fires, Dad. I know she's wrong, but she's my mom and I love her. Of course you do, I said, stroking her hair. And so it should be. Leave David to me. If he doesn't want to talk to her, let him tell her so himself. I waited until she wiped her eyes and asked if she and Grandma could finish preparing Christmas dinner. When she said she could, I called David. David, come down. We're going to the pub. He started to protest, but I quickly stopped it. Either you come with me or face the wrath of your grandmother. What do you choose? Okay, I'm going. He didn't like being forced to act like a man. On the way to the pub, he walked with his head down, listening to the lecture. I thought I raised you better, I said. If you have a problem with your mother, you damn well should tell her. You can't hide behind your sister's back. I wasn't hiding. He was hiding. You told her I was in the shower. She's your mother. She gave you life. You at least owe her an explanation. How can you be on her side after what she did to you? I'm not on her side. If I'm on anyone's side, it's on your sister's side. She wants to maintain at least some kind of relationship with your mother, and you are making it very difficult for her. So should I just tell her, fuck off? If you feel that way, then yes. I can't do this to her, Dad. Then you can do like your sister. Try to remain friendly, or like me, be polite. Treat her like any other person. But you can't force your sister to lie for you. Is this clear? Crystal clear, Dad. I guess that means I have to order a drink now. I patted him on the back. Given that it's probably coming out of my pocket, I'll order it myself. I was pleased to see that the first thing David did when he returned home was to hug his sister and apologize. The rest of the holiday went well, and I even got to meet Seffi on New Year's Day. By Easter, David was starting to get a little nervous about his upcoming final exams. He also had to decide what to do with the graduation ceremony. It was to take place in the cathedral, and each student was allocated only 2 tickets. I was thinking about what you said at Christmas. I think I'd like to give my mom a chance to come to my ceremony. I only have 2 tickets, so you might have to sit next to her if she comes. Will this be okay? For me, this is not a problem. Well, of course, she may not come. She'll definitely come, but she'll want to bring Jonah with her. Then she's out of luck. I only have 2 tickets, and one of them is yours. And so, on a bright July morning, I found myself in the cathedral, waiting for the commencement ceremony. You look good, she said, sitting down next to him. Bachelor life apparently suits you. She has her advantages. I looked at her. You look, well, to be honest, tired. No wonder we arrived only at 3 in the morning. I hope you took a lot of water with you. Don't be sarcastic. You know I'm talking about the flight. The crowd fell silent as honorary doctors began to be presented, conferring degrees on famous and distinguished people. Each of them made a short speech, and then the first graduates began to enter the hall. While this was happening, Penny tried to speak again. So you're still single. I remember some woman talking to me when I called you. Yes, I'm still lonely. You know what they say. When you burn yourself on milk, you blow on water. I guess I deserve it. I thought maybe a woman was responsible for your new look. You never looked like this when we were together. Well, since you asked, The woman really was the reason I lost weight. I decided to surprise her for Christmas and found her with another man. It's amazing what that can do to you. Really, Drew, can't we just leave this in the past? I got married again. I moved on. Isn't it time for you to do the same? Already done. I moved on to the point where I told David that I wouldn't mind him inviting you. You mean he asked your permission to invite me? Not permission as such, but he asked if it would be okay for me to take it. But you haven't moved on enough yet to let him send the ticket to Jonah. He was in a lot of pain, you know. He would love to watch this. David only had 2 tickets. Did you seriously think I'd skip my son's graduation so John could watch the ceremony? Sorry, I didn't know. The university rector took his seat and the graduation ceremony began. David's group, the computer science students, were last, and we had to endure a lot of applause before the moment we came for our son received his diploma and was added to the university's graduate register. When it was over, we all walked out into the sun. Penny couldn't seem to take her eyes off me. Finally, she had to say something. I just can't believe how much you've changed. I mean, it's only been 18 months, and you look completely different. It's a good change, though. David found us very quickly. Still in his robe and square cap, he posed for photographs with me and then with his mother. Another parent, seeing us taking turns taking pictures with David, insisted on taking a photo of the 3 of us together. When everything calmed down, David thanked Penny for coming. I take it I need to thank your father for the invitation. That's not what I said, and you know it. David tried to smooth the situation over. I asked Dad if it would be okay for him if you came. To be honest, Mom, I wished you were here. I wanted to share this with you and Dad. You both helped me get to this point, but if I had to choose, it would be Dad. Well, thanks for my place. Sorry, Mom, but you asked yourself. I tried to sort everything out. Why don't you go take off your robe and I'll take us all out to lunch? I can't, I'm afraid. I'm meeting John for lunch. Unless, of course. She didn't finish the sentence. She saw David and I looking at each other and realized that the answer was no. Well, then I have to go, she said, then turned to David. I'll see you soon, dear. We're here for a couple of weeks, and then we move back for good in September. She kissed David on the cheek, nodded in my direction, and left. David and I just looked at each other. David shook his head. I hope you're wrong, Dad. Me too, son. Me too. David spent a couple of weeks at home and then went on a trip to Europe before starting work at a large IT company in London. Penny did return in September, bringing her young husband with her. I learned about it from Phoebe, but she never talked about it in detail. I found out that Penny had found a pretty good job working for a children's charity in the UK. I hadn't heard anything about Jonah, and I wasn't particularly interested. I didn't see either of them for a while, and that suited me just fine. Meanwhile, I continued my long-distance relationship with Seffi. It wasn't ideal, but we made time for each other, met periodically, and Skyped regularly. I would love to see her more often, but military personnel must be where they are assigned. At least that's what I convinced myself. In my heart, I was worried about Clifford's presence. Seffi rarely mentioned him, but I guessed he was closer to her age than I was. Being replaced by a younger man is something that makes you particularly sensitive to age. I kept reminding myself that we were just having fun and that I should enjoy it while it lasted. Around Christmas, I started to notice changes in our relationship. Something seemed to bother Seffi, but she didn't want to share it with me. In the end, I couldn't stand it and asked directly what was going on. Are we okay, Sef? Are you hiding anything from me? Actually, there is something, and I'm not sure how it will affect us. I am sent to Germany at the beginning of the year. Is this a problem? You will still have holidays, and this will pass quickly. How long will you stay there? 2 years. Yes, I will have vacations, but not so many, only 6 to 8 weeks a year. I don't know what to do. There's not much to do here, is there? If the army says to go, then you go. I could resign and get a job in the healthcare system. But you love military service, and it will be difficult for you to find a nursing job at the same level. Are you seriously thinking about sacrificing your career? It depends on what's keeping me here. I can still fly to you during the holidays. So you don't want me to quit. Of course, I would like you to stay here, but you can't sacrifice your career for me. Well, I think we can continue like this. We'll still have Skype, right? Of course it will. I will talk to you every day. Of course, she said and kissed me. I couldn't put my finger on it, but something changed in our relationship that weekend. Physically, everything was the same, but something I couldn't put my finger on was gone. Following the weekend came Christmas. Seffi spent it with her family, and I spent it with mine. That is, I spent Christmas with the children, and on the second day of the holiday, only my mother and I remained. David and Phoebe went to their mother. I tried to call Seffi, but she didn't answer. This alarmed me, and apparently I was thinking about it when the children returned. David asked what was wrong, but I just said I missed them. Phoebe figured me out. The next day at breakfast, she pressed me. "What's the matter, Dad? Yesterday you were quiet, and now you are also not with us. Is it because we went to see Mom?" "No, of course not. You can see your mom whenever you want. There's just something personal on my mind." "Oh my God, Dad, you and Seffi haven't broken up by any chance. There was nothing to tear there. We're just friends, you know." "Yes, of course, Dad. Then why are you so depressed? Something strange is just happening now." She was kind of distant, and yesterday she didn't answer my call. "Tell me, Dad." I told her about our last weekend. "And you told her to go?" "I don't believe it. Do you understand anything about women at all, Dad?" "No, I'm starting to think that I don't understand. I mean, your mother and now Seffi." "No, I don't understand. Dad, she offered to quit for your sake. She was ready to leave the army she loves, but what did you say?" "Oh no, don't do that." She didn't offer it as such. She was simply considering her options. Dad, she was testing you, trying to understand whether you had a future with her. Are you saying I should have asked her to stay? No, Dad. You should have said that you would do anything for her to stay. Do you love her, Dad? Don't know. I think it's possible. At first, I thought it was just a thank you for helping me get through my divorce from your mom. And now I understand that I love being with her. If I don't talk to her every day, I feel like something is missing. Did you tell her that? No, she is a young woman. She doesn't need to be tied to an old curmudgeon like me. And then there's Clifford. I know she's still with him, and I'm just a way for her to pass the time while he's gone. I don't believe it, Dad. This is not about Seffi. I'm sure she really cares about you. Perhaps, but what right do I have to destroy the life she planned for herself? Dad, shouldn't this be her decision? You have to tell her, Dad. Tell her you want her to stay. On New Year's Day, I was driving along the A1, passing the Doncaster turnoff, when the phone rang. Seeing that Seffi was calling, I put it on speakerphone. "Hello, Seffi. I'm on my way to Catterick to pick you up from the train." "What? No, don't do that. I won't be there." "What do you mean? Why won't you be there? What's happened?" "Our shipment was postponed to an earlier date. We left on the 27th. I tried to contact you on Skype, but you weren't there." "Seffi, I'm driving now. Can I call you back when I park?" "Sorry, I have to go on duty, and I won't have my phone with me. Come home, I'll call you on Skype tomorrow. Bye." At the first opportunity, I pulled off the road, stopped the car, and called her. The phone rang for a long time, and then switched to the answering machine. I was going to face her, confess my feelings, and ask her to stay, and now it turns out that she has already left. I just sat there trying to wrap my head around it. Finally, he turned around and drove back home. My heart was heavy when the Skype call finally came. Seffi looked happy and smiling, which was in stark contrast to how I felt. "What were you doing in Catterick? We didn't plan anything." "I wanted to surprise you when you get back. I thought you had 2 more weeks before sending." "I know. I was recalled from vacation on the 26th, and we left earlier. Sorry, there was no time to talk at all." "So you wanted to meet me for some special occasion?" This was my chance. I could tell her that I loved her, that I wanted to be with her, that I wanted her to stay in Britain with me. That's what I was going to tell her as I drove to Catterick. But now everything has changed. I wouldn't ask her not to leave, I would ask her to come back. It seemed different, so I responded neutrally. I just wanted to see you before you leave. Oh, that's nice. Sorry I wasn't there, but you can always talk to me whenever you want. Are you all right? Yes, nothing special. I was just bored. I heard someone enter her room and Seffi turned to say something to the person. When she returned to the screen, her face looked a little embarrassed. I have to go, Drew. We only got to our premises yesterday. I haven't had time to go shopping yet. We said goodbye and I passed out. I didn't even notice that tears were starting to well up in my eyes until they started running down my cheeks. Phoebe saw me and sat on my lap. You didn't tell her, did you? I couldn't. She has already left. How can I ask her not to go if she is already there? Did you tell her that you love her? No. Somehow it seemed inappropriate. I think it is now too late for such confessions. We'll have to settle for just friendship. Some might call this a self-fulfilling prophecy. Don't know. But I noticed that as the weeks went on, Seffi and I had less and less time to talk. Our conversations focused on what was going on in our lives rather than how we felt. After Easter, I realized that she was avoiding saying something. What is it, Seth? I have a feeling that you want to say something important, but you stop every time. Well, there is something. I just wasn't sure how you'd take it. But we're friends, right? So this shouldn't be a problem. Actually, I should have told you this back in Catterick. Clifford is also here in Germany. We've been together for several months now. I just sat there silently waiting, knowing it wasn't over yet. I just sat there waiting, knowing she wasn't finished. He asked me to marry him, and I said yes. I sat in silence, trying to process what I heard. What's wrong with me? Why can't I keep a woman? Say something, Drew. You're one of my best friends. Aren't you happy for me? What? Oh, yes, of course, I'm happy for you, I lied. I don't know much about Clifford, only what you told me, which isn't much. He's a doctor. Oh, he's a wonderful person, Drew. You'll like it. I seriously doubted the last statement. So, have you set a date yet? Not yet. We are thinking about September. You'll come, won't you? I really wish you were there. If I can, I'll come. I lied again. I knew there was no way I could stand among the guests and watch the woman I loved marry someone else. It would be like the Yvonne Fair song, It Should Have Been Me. This time I seemed to have a present. I didn't want it to happen, but when it did, I found that I didn't feel the same blow as I did after Penny's betrayal. It was still hard for me for a while, but I managed on my own. I was looking for an opportunity to move. I've heard rumors about problems between Penny and her new husband. I don't know if it was related, but I noticed her car outside my house several times, and twice I saw her sitting in the car, just looking at the house. I knew I didn't want to be here when everything fell apart, so when a department head vacancy came up in Penrith, I applied. For the first time, I was glad I fulfilled my contract at the college. They gave me a glowing recommendation. It was only after I was offered a job that I began to think about what to do with the house. I had almost decided to rent it out when Phoebe made her announcement. It was her first day at home during the Easter holidays. We were drinking coffee after dinner, and she said, "Dad, you know Robert and I are serious about each other." Yes, I assumed that you would get married one day. Then I panicked. I've heard that parents' divorces often lead to children being afraid of serious relationships. You're not breaking up, are you? You seem so suitable for each other. No, on the contrary. We want to get married. You know I love him, Dad. We don't want to wait. We know for sure that we want to spend our lives together. I breathed a sigh of relief. So are you asking for my blessing or for me to pay for the wedding? Well, now that you mention it. Seriously, Dad, I told Robert that I don't want a big wedding. We're already in enough debt. Robert's parents would probably pay, but I don't want that. No one else will pay for my daughter's wedding. I knew you would say that. I have some great ideas. It really won't be too expensive. Where will you live? I don't know. We'll probably rent something until we save up for the down payment. Live here. Film from me. But we won't be able to afford this house. Oh, I think you can if you don't save. Now you've got me confused. It's simple. You live here, pay rent to my agent, and I deposit this money into an account. In 3 years or so, when you want to move or I want to move back, I'll give you this money for the down payment on your house. Oh, Daddy, will you really do this for me? For my only daughter, of course. But why do you need an agent then? We could save even more if we paid you directly. If you miss a payment, they will deal with you. I couldn't do that to my little girl. Are you really serious, Dad? I would love to live here. But where will you live? I have my eye on a small cottage in Ullswater. I have a new job in Penrith. I was wondering what to do with this house. I didn't want to sell it. You'll take care of the house, right? Of course, Dad. This is my home. Fine. Now, young lady, your wedding is coming up, and I need to find money. I got up, collected the cups, and went to the kitchen. When I returned, I threw Penny's wedding and engagement rings on the table. You can take them. This will help save some money. Phoebe's jaw dropped. She looked genuinely shocked. Dad, these are Mom's rings. You can't expect me to wear them. If these were family heirlooms, I would still understand, but my mother is alive. I can't, Dad, and I won't. I sat down next to her and put my arm around her shoulders. Sorry, honey, I was tactless. They've just been sitting in a drawer since your mom and I broke up. I don't know what to do with them. Maybe I should sell them. Now you can get a considerable amount for them. Just give them back to Mom, Dad. I'm sure she'll be happy. Plus, every time you see them, it's just a reminder of what happened. You should talk to your mom. I think she could help organize the wedding. I don't need to talk to her, and I don't need her help. You'll have to talk to her at the wedding. You understand that I have to invite her. Yes, sure. Don't worry, I'll be polite. Just keep that little shit away from me. I'll try, but I'd like you to talk to Mom. I know she's unhappy. I'm sorry she's feeling bad, but it's not my fault. Maybe she'll feel better when he's gone. Shouldn't be long, just 2 years, I guess. Dad, could you be more lenient with him? Is it so hard to believe that he can really love his mother? It's not hard for me to believe that any man can fall in love with your mother. She is a very attractive woman. Any man could fall in love with her, but not him. We left the conversation, and I trusted Phoebe to do the right thing. She made concessions to her future mother-in-law. The ceremony took place in our local church. She passed on fancy hotels for the banquet and instead rented a college catering restaurant. The college was founded as a culinary school, launching the careers of many famous chefs. The food was excellent, and I received a discount as an employee. Robert's parents were very impressed. During dinner, I sat next to my daughter, and her mother was at the end of the table. According to Phoebe's seating plan, the asshole was sitting on the other side of the room. The dinner went off without a hitch, and my toast as father of the bride was a success. I waited until the toasts were finished, and then, as the newlyweds began their first dance, I noticed Penny moving towards me and her husband following her. I said goodbye first to Robert's parents, then to Phoebe and Robert. Penny stayed late talking to the groom's parents. Unfortunately, her husband did not meet any obstacles and approached me while I was waiting for the elevator. "Mr. Stiles," he called. "Why can't we finish this? What have I done to you?" Apparently, he drank too much wine. I took a step towards the stairs, but he blocked the way. "Why are you doing this to me? Why can't you just accept what happened and let us live our lives?" If I knew what you were talking about, perhaps I would have answered. But right now, I have no idea. Now step aside and let me pass. He didn't move. The alcohol probably gave him courage. Oh, you know perfectly well what I mean. Why did I lose my job in Romania? Why didn't anyone else take me? I'm blacklisted. No one goes hire me anymore. And now I can't find a job in England either. Have you tried Tesco? Looks like they're hiring. Tesco? I'm a translator, not a damn salesman. No, I'm not going to Tesco. Perhaps the demand for Romanian translators is not very high, so you will have to continue to live on your wife's salary. He swung, but I heard Penny scream. I dodged and hit him. He bent over and staggered backwards. Don't think I did this for you, I said, pointing at Penny. I did it for her. So that's another reason to say thank you to your wife. The elevator doors opened, and I headed towards it. Penny grabbed my hand just as I reached the door. You don't have to leave, Drew. We'll leave ourselves. He's already drunk too much. I'll take him home. Come back and dance with our daughter. She returned to Daminescu, helped him up, and led him to the elevator. As I watched them go, I heard her say, "Go back there. Come on, go, go." I did as she said and returned to the hall where I was greeted by Phoebe's beaming smile. I stayed until the newlyweds left. At home, throwing the keys into the drawer, I again noticed the rings lying there. I looked in the drawer for a soft-sided package, put the rings in there, and wrote a note. These rings don't mean anything to me anymore. You can have them for yourself. Drew. I knew it would hurt, but I didn't care. I signed the envelope, put a stamp on it, and placed it with the pile of letters that needed to be sent. As I walked up the stairs, I felt relieved. I won't have to see them anymore. The move to my home in Ullswater went smoothly. I discovered that you can have a good Sunday lunch at the local pub. During the first weeks, I stayed at work until 9 at night to deal with administrative matters. As head of the department, I taught only 5 hours a week and spent the rest of the time doing administrative work, meetings, and personnel management. Having figured out the system, I found that I had a lot more free time than when I was just a teacher. Over the weekend, I started hiking in the mountains. I made friends with the bartender from Black Lion, a pleasant young widow who didn't mind earning some extra cash. She agreed to come and clean my house before her shift at the pub. Over time, our friendship acquired additional benefits. Life was going well. I had a good job, more free time, and made new friends. But there was still emptiness, a void that could be filled by my family and someone special. David and Phoebe kept me up to date with what was happening in Kent. It was no surprise to learn that Ion had disappeared. After Romania became a member of the EU, the Ministry of the Interior decided to grant all remaining requests for permanent residence. John didn't need Penny anymore. Phoebe and Robert loved visiting me. The Lake District is beautiful at almost any time of year. During one of their visits, they told me about Jonah. "You'll say that, won't you?" asked Phoebe. "Shall I say what?" "I told you so. Come on, Dad, you deserve it." "For what?" "It gives me no pleasure to know that your mother is suffering." "That's the mystery, Dad. She doesn't seem to be suffering. Not like you after well, she doesn't look too unhappy. She spends a lot of time with her grandmother." "Ah, they always got along well." "Careful, Dad. They're up to something." "Let them plan as much as they want. That doesn't mean I have to take part." "And still no chance at all, Dad?" "None. This ship has already sailed." She didn't bring it up again, but I thought about it for a bit. I called my mother every week, but she never mentioned Penny. As I told Phoebe, they were always friendly. Mom was one of those who wanted us to make peace. I expected her to at least tell me that Penny was free, but she didn't say a word. I was actually grateful. Knowing that Penny was with her mother made it easier for me. Mom was almost 80, and I felt guilty for being more than 300 miles away. I was afraid of the day when she wouldn't answer the phone. Knowing that Penny was visiting her brought me comfort. It started in mid-September. I received a message asking me to call my mother as soon as possible. When I dialed her number, Penny answered. She said Mom was in the hospital with a urinary tract infection. I left on Friday evening to spend the weekend with her. 3 days later, she was discharged, and she was like a cucumber again. But this was only the beginning of the end. By mid-November, she was hospitalized twice more. In the end, it was pneumonia, and this time she couldn't cope. I took family leave and stayed with Phoebe to make funeral arrangements. Mom would be glad to see how many people came to say goodbye. Lady Caroline's participation would certainly make her day. I tried to make the wake a celebration of her life and not a sad event, but it was difficult for me to keep my spirits up. I was consumed by guilt. When she needed my presence, I was 300 miles away. I was talking to Caroline when Penny came up to us. "Caroline, it's so nice to see you." Lady Caroline looked at her with an icy gaze. She put her hand on my shoulder. "Drew, come out with me. I want to talk to you." We left the hall onto the street. "What happened between you and Percy? The last time I saw her, all she talked about was you. And now I find out that she is married to Clifford, a man I never really liked. What happened between you?" "She went to Germany. And you didn't even try to stop her." "It's strange, but I was just about to do it when she called and said she was already there." "And you just gave up? This doesn't sound like the Drew I know. Just tell me you're not going to get back together with Penny." "No, Caroline, this won't happen. She's here because my mother has always been good to her. Plus, Penny really took care of Mum while I was at Ulswater." "It's clear. By the way, I may soon have a job in Oitos. Could you take it? It will take about 10 days. If it's during a college break, of course I'm fine with it." "Great. I knew I could rely on you. Well, let's go back. You still have guests left." By evening, people began to leave. I, as expected, stood at the door and thanked everyone for coming. At the end, it was just David, Phoebe, Penny, and me. Penny put on her coat and walked over to me. "This was our first conversation since Ion disappeared." "So you told Caroline everything," she said. "I didn't have to. Her best friend's daughter was there with me in Bucharest." "Is this the woman who spoke to me on the phone?" "Yes, most likely." "Well, that explains a lot. Caroline knows. Former parliamentary secretary, liaisons across the civil service and charity sector. Ion has no chance, right?" "I'm not sure I understand." "Come on, Drew, you're not that naive. After Ion was fired, no one in Bucharest wanted to contact him. You say that it was not you who fired him, and if you think about it, you really did not have such connections to organize this blacklist. But Caroline has them." She laughed. "What's so funny? His dream was to work as a translator for the EU in Brussels. The poor thing won't even get close to that, will she?" I smiled. "With Caroline taking it on, probably not." She reached out her hand and squeezed mine. "How are you holding up?" "Not bad, probably. I just regret moving to Cumbria. I feel guilty for being so far away while she was suffering." "No need," she realized. "She was incredibly proud of you. She talked about you all the time. I've learned more about your childhood in recent months than in all the years we've been together. Thank you for being there for her. It made me feel better knowing you cared about her. It didn't cause any trouble. I was happy to help. And you shouldn't feel guilty. You had to work, and your mother understood that." She left, and David came up to me. "Well, that's it, Dad. Everyone's gone. It's time for us to lock the house and return the keys. I see you're talking to your mom again." "Yeah, well, she's done a lot for your grandma these past months. I just wanted to say thank you." Mom didn't have a lot of money. I found an insurance policy that covered funeral expenses. Her only asset was her house. She and Dad bought it new in 1958 for £2,000. I was quite surprised when the estate agent valued it at £300,000 and said that a little modernization would add another $20,000 to the value. This was enough to completely buy my small cottage and leave some cash behind. November and December were not the brightest months. Strangely, I missed my mother, although I had hardly seen her since moving to Ulswater. On Sundays, when I usually called her, I found myself picking up the phone before thinking better of it. I thought about Penny often. She spent so much time with her mom before she died. She must be feeling empty right now. I wanted to call her a couple of times, but I always changed my mind. When I called Phoebe, I always asked about her. "She's lonely, Dad, but she's okay," was all she answered. I went to Kent for Christmas. As usual, I arrived a couple of days before the holiday. I stayed with Phoebe and was overjoyed to find out she was pregnant. However, from the moment I arrived, she seemed a little tense, and only a day later she decided to tell me the reason. "Dad, about Christmas. We usually spend Christmas with you and Grandma here and then go to Mum's for Boxing Day. But now that Grandma is not with us and John left Mom alone, I didn't want either of you to be alone. I invited my mom over for Christmas. She said she wouldn't come if you were uncomfortable." I waited in case she said something else. I already assumed that this would not be easy, and knowing Phoebe, I expected something like this. "Please, Dad, I know what she did was wrong. She knows it too, and I know how sorry she is. Please, Dad, just for 2 days, can we try to be a family together?" I told myself it was because of my recent loss that tears came to me so easily, but they did. Phoebe rushed to me and hugged me. "Sorry, Dad, we won't if you can't handle it." "That's not the point, my dear girl. A few years ago, I would have said that you were just like a mother. This is how I remember her. She was always a peacemaker, always thinking about others. Don't change. Promise me that you will never change like her." "She hasn't changed, Dad. She's just lost her way. I think we both know who to blame for this." "It takes two to tango, Phoebe. You can't put all the blame on him." "So should I tell her no? I'll hate myself for it, but I'll do it if that's what you want." "Tell her it's okay. Just promise me there won't be any games like Postman." She laughed. "Agreed. You truly are the best dad." After calling my mother and telling her the good news, she sat down next to me again. "This will be the best Christmas in many years. Thank you, Dad." The day itself went well. David, Robert, and I went to the pub for a drink before dinner. When we returned, Penny was already there and drinking wine. Lunch was a success, and by the time we had finished the Christmas pudding, we were all very full. I called David into the kitchen to help with the dishes. "Your mother seems to be drinking too much wine today. I don't remember her drinking like that before." "She's changed in a lot of ways, Dad. The happiest period I have seen in recent years was when she was caring for her grandmother. She is no longer the confident woman I knew as a child. I'll tell you, Dad, if I ever meet that bastard again, he'll wish he was born." "Could you do your old father a favor, son? Keep an eye on her. Don't let her make a laughing stock of herself." "Why? What do you think she will do?" "I don't know, but I've never seen her drink like that before. I'm a little worried about how this will affect her." David agreed to help, and he tried. Every time he poured her wine, it was less than half a glass. At one point, he came up with the idea of adding sparkling water to a glass. "What is this?" she asked. "It's a syringe," he said. "I thought it would remind you of Romania." Anger flashed across her face before she regained control of herself. "I don't need a reminder about Romania, thank you. I think about her every morning." She stood up and went to the kitchen to pour out her drink. When she returned with a full glass of wine, David shrugged, looking at me. I simply nodded. By evening, she began to slur her words and was no longer too confident on her feet. She was sitting next to me while we were playing charades, and that's when it happened. "Oh, look, you're under the mistletoe." I raised my head, but before I could see anything, she pressed herself to my lips. I resisted and could hardly push her away from me. When I tried to get up, Phoebe, who was at that moment acting out a scene from CH.2, screamed, "Mom, what are you doing?" "What? He's my husband. Can't a girl kiss her husband under the mistletoe?" "Mom, he's not your husband anymore, and there's no mistletoe here." I got up and headed into the corridor to get my coat. When I returned to the living room, Penny was crying and Phoebe was sitting next to her, holding her shoulders. "I'll go for a walk," I said. "I need to digest all this food." Penny extended her hand to me. "Don't go, Drew. Please don't leave me again. I love you, always have. Don't leave me." "Mom, stop it," Phoebe said, shaking her shoulders. David walked me to the front door. Try to get her to sleep, I said. She can't go home in this condition. Perhaps she thinks this is her home. Put her in my bed, and I'll spend the night on the sofa. It's okay, Dad. I'll lie down on the sofa myself. Listen to Father. I'll spend the night on the couch and go home in the morning. Robert overheard the conversation. I think Phoebe will be sad if you leave, Drew. Could you stay another day? I'm sorry, Bob, but I don't see any other option than to upset someone. I thought we could just be polite. She dealt with it at the funeral, but she didn't drink then. I don't think she usually drinks that much. Besides, I shouldn't be here when she wakes up. She'll have a terrible hangover, and if she remembers, she'll be embarrassed to see me. We left it like that, and I settled down on the couch. This morning, Phoebe got up early to say goodbye to me before I left. She insisted on making me breakfast and even made me sandwiches for the road. Sorry, Dad. I didn't expect this to happen. I told her to be calm. I don't know what came over her. I think it's the wine I drank. David tried to limit her, but it didn't work. Do you really have to leave, Dad? I think it will be better this way. I hope you have a good day. There were few cars on the roads on Boxing Day. Only occasionally did cars full of football fans with flapping scarves pass by. I got home in a little over 6 hours. Looking for company, I went to the pub. There I poured out my problems to my friend, cleaning lady and occasional lover Molly for an hour or two. She had no family, so she voluntarily agreed to work during the holidays. It was frosty outside when we got out and headed towards me. Molly was thoughtful. Would it be so terrible to just kiss her? You loved her once, and I know you still have a place in your heart for her. What harm would there be in that? It's not like you to run away like that. I don't know, Molly. I think it was a surprise. Everything happened so unexpectedly. Besides, I don't want her to make up her mind to get her hopes up. So you ran away here to sleep with me and get this out of your head. Although, I hope that's what you intended. You read me like an open book, Molly, my dear. Figure of speech, is this, my dear? Don't answer, I already know. I kept trying to find a way into your heart, but it's so crowded there. I expected to see your children there, but there is someone else there. If it's not your ex-wife, then who? I don't want to fight with claws. You're a good man, Drew, but no man is worth fighting for. Calm down, Molly. No one will come after you. And today I guarantee that you will take a place in my heart. We really lost our heads with each other and, exhausted, fell asleep. I didn't wake up until the morning, and only because the phone rang. After making sure Phoebe wasn't worried about me, I went back and woke Molly up with a cup of coffee. You would be a great husband, you know. It's a pity that it's not mine. I'm going to really miss this. What do you mean, bored? Who said we have to stop? I am, my dear. On Christmas Eve, before heading to his family, Derek Warburton proposed to me. And you said yes? No, but I'm going to. Look, we both know this isn't going anywhere. Everything is fine in bed with us, but that's where it ends. Derek is a widower, he has no baggage, and he loves me. Do you love him? I can learn to love him. He's a good man, Drew, and I'm not getting any younger. I don't want to grow old alone. You should think about it too. So this is the end for us? I'll still come and clean for you, but no more sex that wouldn't be right. Can we still be friends? I would really like that. She pulled me towards her and kissed me. Don't take too long, Drew. In mid-February, I returned home on a Friday evening to find a dog crate on my doorstep. Inside was a young chocolate Labrador, a leash, 2 cans of food, and an envelope. There was a note in the envelope. Hello, my name is Bonnie. I'm a year old and need a new owner. I'm a good girl, I behave neatly at home and don't chew anything. A friend told me that you need love, and so do I. All I need is a dry place to sleep, a good walk every day, and food once a day. In return, I will love you and protect you. I hope you will agree to become my new master. If not, call the number below and they will take me back. Thank you. I found out the phone number. It was Molly. I called her. Don't say you don't want her. Please, Drew. You are perfect for each other. I can't get a dog. I'm at work all day. But I'm at your house every morning. I can walk her. She'll only be alone for a couple of hours. Come on, Drew. She'll be your company. Why can't the current owner keep her? It belonged to Derek's mom. She can no longer look after her. Bonnie needs to go for a walk at least once a day. I need to find her a new home, and yours is the best option I can think of. Please try it. If it doesn't work out, I'll take her back and find someone else. How could I say no? I knelt down and opened the cage. As soon as the door opened, Bonnie licked me from head to toe. I fed her, and she immediately went to the door, indicating that she wanted to go out. I decided to dine out, put a leash on her, and Bonnie and I headed to the pub. Thus began a wonderful friendship. Every day I returned home and walked with her. Molly walked her in the morning. On weekends we went hiking. I learned all the trails in the area, and Bonnie became my constant companion. If I went out without her, my friends always asked about her. Now I was no longer alone, but I still felt lonely without human closeness and communication. Sometimes I would arrange an evening out for myself. I had girlfriends, but everything remained only at the level of friendship. I didn't dare go to Kent next Christmas. Lady Caroline asked me to be the driver, so I went to Oita's and did not return until January 3rd. David wasn't too happy and Phoebe was furious. I can't believe you missed your grandson's first Christmas just because of one kiss. It wasn't just a kiss, and you know it. I just didn't want the same thing to happen again. She could cope if she didn't drink, but she doesn't drink like that anymore, Dad. She's fine, or at least she was. Now she blames herself for not coming. She thinks you hate her so much that you can't stand being in the same room with her. You can't go on like this, Dad. I need both parents. Little Harry needs his grandparents. Her words made me feel like a complete insignificance. I understood her point of view. Maybe it's time to sort things out with Penny. I promised Phoebe that this wouldn't happen again. So if I throw Harry's christening, can I expect both of his grandparents to be there? You can be sure that I will come. As for your mother, it's her choice, but I'll be there anyway. Okay, Dad, I hope this is at least something. I just want you to talk to each other. Can I give you her number? Maybe you should call or text her. I can't promise anything, but you can send me her number. And give her mine too. Thanks, Dad. Just try it. That's all I ask. Of course, getting a number and calling are two different things. It seemed to me that we were both waiting to see who would make the first move. By Easter, neither I nor she had called. However, someone still called. Lady Caroline has found me a summer assignment. Drew, you said what's most urgent in Oidas? The entire building needs a complete rewiring. Every time I go there, I'm terrified. Okay, what's next? We need normal plumbing and heating. You can't expect women to go out into the snow and throw wood into an old leaky cauldron. If I told you I have a team of British plumbers and electricians ready to take on the job, would you be happy? Of course, but we need craftsmen who know how to work with steel and lead pipes, and someone who can find suitable materials. Electricians may also be intimidated by the local Romanian systems. I understand all this. That's why I sent someone to the site to assess what we needed. Everything has already been donated, and the truck will leave in July. I even organized a vacation for the children. Each family will go to Constanta for a week. Looks like you've thought of everything. Not really. I need someone who knows Romania and can help with organization, language, and also support the team. Could you do it? You know I would go. In July, they will be preparing for the first elections to the European Parliament. I wonder what you have to say about this. So in July, I asked Molly to look after Bonnie and went to Oidas. I arrived before the team and helped the staff send the children on vacation. By the time the team arrived, we were ready to go. In 4 hours, the old heating system and plumbing were dismantled. The materials were delayed for a day, so I took the team to Wednesday to have some fun. As soon as we entered the restaurant, I saw a face that I would recognize anywhere. It was looking at me from an election poster. This fake smile, this man whose nose I once broke. Now I have learned that the man who destroyed my marriage and left Penny with nothing was running for the European Parliament. I turned to the waitress, who happily demonstrated her knowledge of English. I on Dolensku, yes. He's a good person. I think he will win. He's an asshole, I told her. Trust me, I know him. He's an asshole. Well, he's a good person. Come to the town hall debate on Friday. You will see everything for yourself. You mean he'll be here on Friday? Is this open to the public? Yes, anyone can come. There will even be television. Des, one of the plumbers, asked what was wrong. I told him the whole sad story. So what are you going to do? If it works, I will come and put him in his place. Let the good people of Romania know what a little bastard he is. You seem like a normal guy, Drew. I'm sure the guys will support you if necessary. I'm not planning anything violent. I just want people to know who he is. Well, you know, these things can go different ways. Just remember, we are here if anything happens. We returned to Oidas a little before the truck with materials arrived. We unloaded everything and settled down for the night. Over the next 4 days, we worked 14-hour days, completely rewiring the first house, installing a wood boiler, and a new heating and plumbing system. On Friday evening, we all went to Oidas for the debate. Mariana came with us to translate. We sat and listened to a debate that neither of us understood while I waited for questions from the floor. When this moment came, Marian stood up to ask my question. Mr. Damenscu, could you tell me how you broke your nose? He was clearly confused and began to mumble. When it became clear that people were waiting for an answer, he began to invent a story. I was a mischievous boy as a child, doing everything that naughty children do. I climbed trees. One day he fell out of a tree and hit a branch. That's what broke my nose. He looked around the room, waiting for approval. And then I stood up and shouted, Liar, I broke your nose when I caught you having sex with my wife. I turned to the hall. I'll tell you what kind of person he is. He did everything he could to get out of Romania. While you were all suffering, he slept with an Englishwoman in Bucharest. He did this to break up her marriage and marry her for a UK visa. As soon as he received permanent residency, he left her. Ask his friends. He spent most of his life trying to escape Romania. Now all the cameras turned towards me. I pointed directly at one of them. You have to do your job and investigate this man. He doesn't care about you. He wants you to pay for his life anywhere, but in Romania. Marian feverishly translated everything for the audience. Damenscu looked more and more uncomfortable. In the end, he couldn't stand it, jumped off the podium, and rushed towards me. Bastard, I'll kill you, he shouted, trying to grab me. I hit him. I think it's time for us to get going, Des said, rubbing his arm. I looked back and saw several men in suits making their way through the crowd towards us. We ran out to the square and everyone jumped into the Land Rover. As we left the city, Marian turned to me. Is this all true? Him and Penny? Did you catch him and break his nose? Is that why she doesn't travel with you anymore? Yes, Marian, this is all true. You should have broken his damn neck, Des said from the back seat. We cleared out everything in the first house just in time for the kids' return from vacation. Those who lived in the second house were already ready to move, and as soon as they left, we got to work. I noticed a lot of understanding from employees. It wasn't until dinner that I found out why. Mr. Drew, you are now a television star. We all saw you on the news yesterday. They call you the mysterious Englishman. 2 days later, while running cables through the attic space, I heard Myrla calling me. Mr. Drew, someone has come to see you. I climbed out through a hole in the ceiling and went down to the floor. I was greeted by a beaming Myrla, accompanied by a very attractive young woman in a sharp suit and high heels. She extended her hand to me. I'm Geta Ionita from ROM TV. We'd like to talk to you. Well, Miss Ionita, I don't want to talk to you, so it looks like you've come all this way in vain. I said and turned towards the stairs. We did what you said, Mr. Stiles. We checked on him, she said as I placed my foot on the step. Don't you want to finish him off, Ion Dolenscu? Will you just let him get away with what he did? There are things you don't know about. I stopped, came back from the stairs, and looked at her. What do you have? Why don't we go outside and talk, and then we can record the interview, she suggested. I must have still looked hesitant because she said something that surprised me. You work well here. I'm sure 5 million lei would help a lot. Are you offering me money for my story? Not really. I just think that the TV channel would be happy to sponsor this project, especially if you help us. We went outside and sat down at the table. I told her my story, and then she surprised me again. Tell me, Drew, has your wife ever divorced Mr. Damenscu? As far as I know, no. She doesn't want to spend money on a divorce, and doesn't need one until she meets someone to get married again. Of course, he could divorce her here in Romania. They got married in Bucharest. He didn't do it. Could he divorce her in England without informing her? No, she must be notified. Then you will be surprised to learn that Ion Damenscu is going to marry the daughter of the chairman of his party in 3 weeks. That's why I needed to talk to you. I need to record an interview with you, maybe right inside the house. We will show people what you do for Romanian children. This will help viewers understand what kind of person you are. She reached out her hand and squeezed mine. Believe me, Drew, this will hurt him more than a broken nose. We set up outside and recorded the interview, interrupted from time to time by noise from the workers. After the interview, the camera followed us around the house, while I explained to Geta exactly what we were doing and why. As soon as the van with the equipment left, a cry came from the house. Hey, someone's working here while you're chatting with women. Where's my damn cable? I returned to the stairs and went back to work. By Friday, the plumbers were ready to leave, and the electricians were finishing up the finishing touches. We had a barbecue with Michai, biftekli, and beer, lots of beer. The staff brought friends and family, and the local priest came to bless our work and the crew. I was introduced to several unmarried sisters of the employees. By Wednesday, I was sitting on the plane on the way back and had no idea what was going on. On Friday, I was at home when I received a call from Caroline. Drew, next time you're on Newsnight, try to watch your language, okay? Sorry, Caroline. I hope I haven't embarrassed you. How did this even get on Newsnight? You didn't disgrace me, dear. BBC2 is covering how elections are taking place in the new EU countries. I think they couldn't resist your performance. I told her how it all happened, including the sordid details of Damenscu's life. He also talked about sponsorship. 5 million. It's about £1,000. Annually? Don't know. I'll leave this to you. Are you, Drew, happy with what we did? So what next? More than satisfied. The next thing is insulation to consume less firewood. Okay, I'll take care of it and keep you posted. How are you, Drew? Did you feel better after you dealt with him? Yes, I think it has. Great. Hold on. I'll be in touch. After that, she hung up. Over the next few weeks, stories about the European Parliament elections in Romania and Bulgaria periodically flashed in the news. Damascus' name was never mentioned again, so I assumed he didn't make the cut. I didn't even remember the name of his party, so I didn't know how it performed in the elections. It was only at the end of the summer holidays that I found out what had happened. I was already getting ready for work when the bell rang. Hello. Drew, I can't talk for long. Buy The Guardian and turn to page 11. That's all for now. I've never heard Caroline be so brief. On the way to work, I bought a newspaper and opened the page indicated. At the top of the page was a photograph of the Cernavodă nuclear power plant and the Danube. The police today identified the body found in the Danube near Cernavodă. It was Ion Damenscu, a former candidate for the European Parliament. Damascus' fortunes changed dramatically when it emerged that he was planning to marry the daughter of his party chairman while still married to a British woman. This and other investigations into Mr. Damenscu and his party have led to the collapse of support for the party. The article continued to talk about the party's suspected links to the Georgian mafia and how the Daminescu scandal became a turning point in its fate. I sent Penny a message. See The Guardian, page 11. You are free. By mid-morning, I received a reply message. Drew, please call me as soon as possible. The beginning of the school year is always hectic, so I was only able to call back at lunchtime. Hello, Penny. Oh, Drew, thank God. Please tell me you weren't involved in this. Penny, I've been back in Britain for 4 weeks. How could I be involved in this? This is the answer of a politician. Tell me honestly, you have nothing to do with this. Penny, I may have started the process, but I couldn't predict it would end like this. I just wanted to stop him from getting elected. I told her what happened in Wednesday and about the subsequent interview. Well, yes, we really didn't get divorced. And that's all you did. What, you think I have a mercenary in the wings? I didn't want him to die, but I don't regret that he won't hurt anyone again. There was a short pause. So that's all? Is it over? It's all over for him. And you are free to live your life. What about us? Nothing has changed here, has it? Yes, probably not. Drew, thanks for letting me know. I'm glad I heard this from you. Sorry for doing this via message. The first day of the school year, you know, there's a lot of commotion here. I didn't want anyone to find out before you did. Caring as always. Thank you. I heard the tremble in her voice when she hung up. The fall semester continued as usual, but one thing changed. One of our lab equipment suppliers hired an exciting new representative. We immediately hit it off, and she turned out to be an incredible flirt. On my first visit, she insisted that I go to dinner with her. That way I can include it in my travel allowance, she said with a wink. During the second visit, it was no longer just dinner, and I knew for sure that such things are not included in business travel allowances. I started to worry about Christmas. I couldn't let Phoebe down again, especially knowing that this was her last holiday in the house. David announced that he was getting married in the spring, and I agreed to help him buy a home, just as I had done for Phoebe. 2 weeks before Christmas, Penny called me to make sure I was still coming. If you feel uncomfortable, I don't have to come. Don't even think about it, Penny. I'm sure everything will be fine with us. Do you really think so, if we accept where we are now? Yes, I understand. But can I still say that I'm looking forward to meeting you? Certainly. See you on Christmas Day. As usual, I arrived 2 days before the holiday. I enjoyed babysitting little Harry while Phoebe completed the final preparations. On Christmas Eve, I stayed with the baby while Robert and Phoebe went to visit friends. Continue. Penny arrived in the morning, right after breakfast. When she saw me, she hugged me and kissed me on the cheek. She's gained a little weight since the last time I saw her, but it suited her. She looked happier. David and his fiancée Allison arrived shortly after her. The women moved almost immediately to the kitchen, while the men remained in the living room with Harry. Why don't you boys go to the pub for an hour while we get everything ready? Penny suggested, peeking in from the kitchen. You'll still only get in the way. I looked at Robert and he nodded. David was a little doubtful, but Allison immediately came in and nudged him. Go, that's a good idea. Robert and I did not miss the opportunity to joke with David that he was already under the thumb. But David just laughed, noting that Robert and I were once exactly the same. At the pub, we sat at the counter, enjoying snacks and beer. I decided to share my concerns about Penny. I think she'll be fine, Dad. She looks much more stable now, David replied. I completely agree, added Robert. She hardly drinks now. She looks after Harry sometimes, and we wouldn't trust her with the child if she wasn't okay. That Christmas the year before was just a blip. She was really upset when that idiot dumped her. Well, now he won't bother anyone anymore, I said, and I'm glad about it. Let's raise a toast to this, Dad. Me too. We raised our glasses. To the absent idiots, I said. Let them remain that way. We had a drink, a laugh, and then headed back to the house. When we returned, I noticed Penny with a glass of wine in her hand. My gaze must have conveyed concern because Phoebe noticed it immediately. Relax, Dad. This is her first glass. Everything is fine. And I really calmed down. Everything was going smoothly. In fact, it was one of the best Christmases I've had in years. When it was time for Penny to leave, it turned out that her car was covered in snow. Damn it, it's snowing. Are any of us sober enough to take Mom home? We all took turns admitting that we had drunk too much. What should we do? Phoebe asked, looking at us. I've never driven in the snow. I can't today. We all looked at each other. She'll stay here, I said. Do you mind, Penny? She looked at me, and I noticed that the same thing dawned on her as it did on me. I called her Pen, as I had done so many years ago, until that day in Bucharest. Well, I don't have clean underwear, and I don't know where I'll sleep. But other than that, I'm all for it. Then everything is decided. You can sleep in my room, and I'll settle down on the sofa. Will you be here when I wake up this time? All eyes turned to me. I just smiled. Yes, I'll be here. Everyone laughed, and we continued the evening watching TV. One by one, everyone went to bed. I waited until the last of them came upstairs before settling down on the couch with pillows and a blanket. About 2 hours later, I felt that there was someone in the room. I tossed and turned, trying to get comfortable, but I didn't hear anyone enter. It's crazy, you know. You sleep here on the couch. I immediately recognized her voice. Gradually, her figure began to emerge in the darkness. This bed is big enough for both of us, and, you know, there's nothing we haven't seen before. Penelope Damenscu, I think you're trying to seduce me. This thought flashed through my head, but no, I'm not trying. I can't sleep upstairs knowing you're tossing and turning on this couch. I ask you to share the bed with me so that we can both get some sleep. Looking back now, I can't believe how easily I agreed. I took her hand and we went upstairs. I lay down in bed and fell asleep almost as soon as my head hit the pillow. The next morning I woke up and was surprised to find a body behind me and an arm wrapped around my waist. I must have moved because she sensed that I was awake and hugged me tighter. Oh, Drew, how I missed this. Just being so close is already happiness. I felt her chest pressing against my back. Her hand slid down until it reached the waistband of my shorts. What is this? I don't remember you wearing anything in bed. Well, I didn't expect to end up in bed. I thought I might still be sleeping when everyone got up. I turned to her and lay down on my back. For the first time, I realized that she was completely naked. Seffi's words came up. Nice breasts, and she was right. Penny still had lovely breasts. Last night, you said you weren't trying to seduce me. And I didn't try. But I didn't say anything about this morning. The girl would have missed her chance if she ended up in bed with a handsome man and didn't at least try to do something. I looked around. So where is this handsome guy? You know who I'm talking about, she said, slapping me on the chest. We made love, and after that we were silent for a long time. I thought she had fallen asleep, but suddenly she said, I love you. I lifted her up so I could see her eyes. It doesn't mean anything, Penny. Just two people who want to comfort each other. She sat down, avoiding looking at me. You can't fool me, Drew. I've known you for too long. You can't make love to someone you don't feel anything for. You must feel something for me. You're right, I feel it, but not like before. I overcame pain and disappointment. I'm at a point now where I can be your friend, maybe a friend with benefits, but nothing more. I don't feel the same romantic love for you that I used to have. She simply doesn't exist. I don't want you to have false hopes. She kissed me tenderly. Okay, so I have to work on this. If now I can only be your friend, then I am happy with that. You're not listening to me, Pen. I'm saying that's probably all we can be. She kissed me again. Whatever you say, she replied, getting out of bed. Now I'm going to take a shower. She took my robe, wrapped herself in it, and left the room. I thought about following her, but decided not to. It had been a great morning, but she shouldn't have given her false hope that it was more than just a wish. She returned and threw her robe on the bed, allowing me to admire her body while she got dressed. I put on a robe and went to the shower. Leaving my clothes downstairs, I went downstairs in my dressing gown. As I entered the living room, I heard a conversation coming from the kitchen. Mom, don't do this. Exactly that. And it was wonderful. I'm telling you, Phoebe, I missed him so much. I dreamed about this last night, or rather this morning, and it was just as good as I imagined. Mom, don't attach too much importance to this. I know Dad is still attached to you, but any man waking up with a naked woman would react the same way. Well, he was absolutely a man, if you know what I mean. Oh, Mom, too much information. I picked up my clothes as their conversation turned to breakfast and went back upstairs to get dressed. At breakfast, I noticed strange looks from Robert and David. In the end, Robert couldn't stand it anymore. What happened to you last night, Drew? We were worried about you. We thought you had run away again. What do you mean? Well, we went to bed, leaving you on the sofa. And when they woke up, you were no longer there. I even went out to check if your car was there. I noticed Penny's face started to turn red. As Penny noted, the bed is big enough for two. And it's not that strange considering we've shared a bed before. David and Robert exchanged knowing smiles. Leave it alone, you two, Phoebe said. This is the best Christmas I've had in years, and I want to keep it that way. By the time breakfast was over, the sun was shining brightly and the snow had melted. Phoebe ordered Robert and David to do the dishes while she changed Harry's diaper and put him to bed. I announced my intention to go for a walk. Do you mind if I join? Penny asked. Why not, if that's what you want? I just need some fresh air and maybe a chance to talk. We went to the top of the cliff. I set a fast pace, and Penny asked me to slow down. I want to talk, but I can't if I'm suffocating. There are things that we have never discussed, things I never said but should have. Drew, I'm so sorry for what I did to us. I tried to convince myself that it wasn't all my fault, but I know it was. I said that I could cope without you, but I couldn't. Yes, I coped with the work, but I couldn't cope with the loneliness. To be in a foreign country, almost not knowing the language. I cried for you all night long. So why didn't you talk to me about this? I read your faxes over and over again, looking for any hint that you were unhappy. But I didn't find anything. Why didn't you tell me? You know I would have come right away. Pride drew. My stupid pride. I didn't want to admit that I couldn't cope. I knew you didn't want to leave me there, but I insisted that I could handle it. I couldn't, Drew. I could not cope with the feeling of isolation and loneliness, but my pride would not allow me to admit it, and I continued to endure, becoming more and more unhappy. If you had told me, I could have done something. I would quit my job and come to you. I would contact Caroline, and she would talk to other NGO staff to help you. You didn't have to rely on that snake. I didn't mean to. Everything just happened somehow. He probably sensed that I didn't want him to leave at the end of the day. Not because I liked him, but because I didn't want to be alone. He offered to show me the real Bucharest, those places that other Brits don't see. What I didn't realize at the time was that by showing me these places, he was making me dependent on him. I had to go to places where other British people working for NGOs gathered. I should have made friends among them, but I didn't. When he wasn't around, I felt completely isolated, so I started inviting him over to the apartment just to have someone to talk to. But it wasn't all just talking, right? If that were the case, we wouldn't be where we are now. No, to my eternal shame, it didn't stop there. I still can't say exactly how it started. I missed you, and he took advantage of it. How could he leave such a beautiful woman alone? He asked. He said he would never do that. I began to believe that you no longer loved me, that you decided to leave me there, although I knew that I was the one who sent you there. I'm sorry, Drew. But when I arrived, you tried to protect him. Of course, I thought we were being robbed. How was I supposed to know it was you in the Santa suit? I smiled. Yes, it was probably quite strange. You should have opened the door, I would have taken off my mask, and you would have rushed into my arms. Looks like I was a fool. It took you 10 days to even try to talk to me. That's because I thought you were still in Bucharest. After I dealt with Ion, we tried to find you. He had friends working at the airport, and they found out that you had booked a flight on January 3rd. We searched all the hotels and hostels in Bucharest. Then they contacted the police and hospitals. When you were nowhere to be found, I waited at the airport all day, from 6 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. I didn't leave until the plane took off. Now I know that you left Oitas with the Christmas transport, but I didn't think about it then. And if you found me, what would you do? Would you try to tell me the same lies you told me again? Convince me that it was my mistake? Most likely not. It was Jonah's idea. He said that if I can make you believe that you were wrong, you will forgive me. I think he was afraid that you would come after him. I should have understood that you would check everything and collect evidence. But then I was too busy with John to keep an eye on you. I really thought we were being robbed. I should have been honest with you. Maybe then I would have had a chance to save us. Jonah's advice seemed plausible to me at the time, but now I wonder if he even wanted me to succeed. But you married him pretty quickly, didn't you? I was going to fight the divorce, drag it out for years, but in the end, I didn't have the strength. It was affecting my work, and people were telling me to suck it up and move on. One of those people was your friendly bastard, right? You really hated him, didn't you? Do you think I should have loved him? No, probably not. He really helped me. I was depressed and very lonely, and he supported me. I thought he really loved me, and it was nice to hear a 25-year-old guy say how beautiful I was and how much he loved me. I didn't want to be alone. I swear to you, Drew, until the wedding, if you had come to me and given me a chance, I would have dropped everything and come back with you. I thought I did, but you refused. But that was before I knew it was you. I dreamed that you would come and save me. What will you say that you have forgiven me and we will try again? But you never came. It wasn't until Phoebe came to the wedding that I found out how much I'd hurt you. You're probably tired of hearing this, but I'm really, really sorry. I had the feeling that you were living the full life of a bachelor, and I was still waiting for your salvation. When I called you and a woman answered the phone, it only confirmed Jonah's words. She came to help me put my head back in place, and she handled it wonderfully. I understand that now, but then you didn't talk to me, neither did David, and Phoebe was strictly forbidden to talk about you. I really thought you were here enjoying life while I was alone. I finally gave in to Jonah's pressure and said yes. So was everything great? Not really. In Romania, everything was more or less normal, even after he lost his job. But I'm sure he knew there were always 3 people in our bed. After you left me, all I did was compare him to you. The attractiveness of his youth quickly faded, and I began to imagine that it was you making love to me. When we moved to Britain, everything started to fall apart. Phoebe and David never accepted him, and his dreams of becoming some kind of cool translator quickly crashed into reality. He blamed me for this. Somehow he believed that our marriage was the reason he couldn't get the job he wanted. I was so unhappy. I even parked near your house and watched you mow the lawn. I know I saw you. I never understood why you did this. What's strange is that I didn't understand it myself. I just sat there and pretended nothing had happened, that we're still married and I'm inside the house cooking dinner while you mow the lawn. I know it sounds stupid, but for that half hour I felt happy. Of course, this only made my condition worse when I returned home to Ion. It all ended when he sold my rings, the same ones you returned to me. I know my note was meant to hurt you, and it hurt you because you deserved it. Yes, she hurt, but those rings meant more to me than you can imagine. When I discovered they were missing, we had a terrible fight, and he hit me. I threatened to go to the police if he didn't give me the money he got for the rings and tell me which jewelry store he sold them to. He knew that with a criminal record, he would be deported, so he surrendered. But I still had to pay the jeweler his markup to return the rings. After you left, I started visiting your mother. I always liked her, and to my surprise, she didn't judge me. She made it clear that Ion would never be a welcome guest to her, but that didn't matter to me. I knew it was my fault and never tried to make excuses. I thought that by getting closer to your mother, I could get closer to you. Yes, even before Ion left, I already wanted this conversation with you. When he left, I felt relieved, although I never wished for his death. Surprisingly, me too. I wanted him to suffer for what he did to us, but I never wanted him to die. Looks like he's angered people much more powerful than me. And you, Drew? What were you doing? Do you have someone special in Ulswater? Or are you as lonely as me? Bonnie lives with me. She keeps me company. We go hiking on weekends. I noticed the disappointment on her face. What about this morning? Won't she be upset about this? Hardly. I might tell her, but her love is unconditional. So where is she now? Why didn't you bring her? She stayed with friends. She doesn't like this trip. I noticed tears in her eyes as we stood leaning on the railing at the edge of the cliff. I felt a little ashamed that I let her believe that I was fine, but it was better than giving her false hope. We watched in silence as the ships moved along the English Channel. I wonder what it's like for them, I said, deliberately changing the subject. Sorry, I don't understand you. For the crews on these ships. What is Christmas like for them? I think for them Christmas is just another day at work. You still need to do your job. We were both starting to feel cold, so we decided to head back inside for lunch. We spent the rest of the day with the family until Phoebe took Penny home. During the day, we repeatedly caught curious glances from our children. The next day, as I was packing up to go home, Phoebe and Robert tried to persuade me to stay until the new year. However, I needed to go back for Bonnie. We had a great New Year's Eve at the Black Lion pub. Molly was there with her husband Derek. I came with Bonnie. She loved parties. Bonnie usually attracted the attention of men, but New Year's seemed to be a time for couples. However, there were many friends there. The first day of the new year was a day of rest other than walking with Bonnie. I didn't do much. The same thing happened on January 2nd. Around 6 p.m., there was a knock on the door. Bonnie rushed to the door and jumped out as soon as I opened it. A familiar voice came from the darkness. "Well, hello. You must be Bonnie. You are so sweet. I hope he takes good care of you." She stepped into the light from the open door. "Penny, what are you doing here? I came to you. You might as well say that Bonnie is your dog. You didn't ask. But it doesn't matter. Perhaps you want to come in. It would be nice after such a long journey." I invited her in and took her bag. Bonnie's tail wouldn't stop wagging, and when Penny sat down, Bonnie started licking her hands. "I'm glad that at least someone is happy to see me, Bonnie." "Oh, you're lovely. I'm sure he's using you to pick up girls." "Yes, yes, and yes. Yes, someone is happy to see you, and so is Bonnie. Yes, she is lovely, and yes, she attracts attention, including women. Did I hear you correctly? You said you were glad to see me, right?" "Well," he said, "I'm glad, but don't get me wrong. I'm glad we can be friends again, but that's all we can be, Pen. Only friends. Then can I stay for a while? We can be friends, whatever you want. You have a job, don't you?" "No, now I'm between business. I am truly a free woman. Who knows, if I like it, maybe I'll find a job here. Maybe I'll buy a house." I took her to the guest room and put her suitcase down. "Unpack while I prepare dinner. I hope the lasagna is good. Whatever you cook will suit me." That's how it all started. When I returned to work, dinner was waiting for me at home. She started walking Bonnie in the mornings. On weekends, she would join us when I took Bonnie for walks in the hills. We were not a couple, but from the outside it might have seemed otherwise. 2 weeks later, she came to my bed on a Saturday morning. I brought coffee, but that also included her getting into bed with me. No, I didn't stop her, and yes, I liked it. I looked at her. I guess I have Daminescu to thank for that. "You don't need to thank him. I've never done this for anyone else. If you want to thank someone, thank websites and chat rooms for adults. Chat rooms taught me that most men like it, and sites showed me how to do it. Now that I see how much you like it, I regret not doing it before." We lay there for a while, hugging. "Can we handle this, Drew? I love being here with you so much. I know you say we can't go back, but if we can stay friends and enjoy each other sometimes, that would mean the world to me. I like it too, but I don't want you to misunderstand everything. It's impossible to go back. I'm glad to be your friend and I enjoy sex with you. I really enjoy it. But I don't love you anymore. If I feel attracted to another woman, I will act accordingly. And if the right one comes along, I might try again." She hugged me tightly. "If this is all I can get, I agree to it. Well, do you think you have the strength to please a girl? Everything looks promising, so I'll try my best. She giggled. We skipped breakfast, we got up only at noon. I really enjoyed her company, and the sex was better than when we were married, but I was worried that she might be putting too much emphasis on our relationship. I resisted all her attempts to move into my bedroom on a permanent basis and made sure that she was always the initiator of intimacy. By the end of the first month, she found a job at the local tourism office. In the summer, she started looking at cottages. Of course, she wasn't serious. It was her way of testing whether I wanted her to stay. During the winter and spring, I behaved as usual. Before Penny moved in, I would call Molly if I was running late so she could walk Bonnie for me. Now I am called Penny. She never asked what I was doing, and I never told. Of course, a lot of my late nights were related to college events, but I also went on dates occasionally. Everything was going smoothly until the start of the fall semester, when problems began. It was September, and as usual, a representative from the laboratory equipment came to see me. What was unusual was that this time it happened on a Friday. Over dinner, she told me about the end of her relationship. I was not surprised the fact that we ended up in bed every time spoke of her lack of affection for anyone. I usually went home in the morning to get some sleep before work. But this time, she didn't let me leave. "Where are you going?" she asked when I stood up. I was going to get dressed and go home. "Oh no, you won't go. I stayed in this room until 11 a.m., and I was counting on breakfast in bed. You're not working tomorrow, so come back here and love me." Call me a weakling, but I couldn't refuse such an offer. I returned home only at noon on Saturday. I was not prepared for what awaited me. Bonnie ran out to meet me, and while I was petting her, I heard Penny's voice. "That's it, Bonnie." He remembered where he lives. I turned around and saw her with red eyes from tears and a sad look. "You just couldn't help but rub my nose in it, huh?" "What are you talking about, Penny? I called, didn't I?" "Yes, you called, as always. And I tried to pretend that nothing was happening, as always. But how can I pretend that everything is fine when you don't come home at night? Penny, I never said we were more than friends. I thought you understood this. I know this and understand it, but I can't help it. I love you. I started to think that you still love me. I love you, Pen, but not the way you want it. What about her? Do you love her?" "No, I don't love her. She's good company, and we have fun together, just like we do with you." "But you slept with her, didn't you?" "Yes, I did, and I liked it just as much as I liked it with you. I told you when you came here, if a young woman wants me to sleep with her, I will do it. We are no longer married. I thought you understood this." She was silent, looking at me with tears filling her eyes. Then she turned around and ran upstairs to her room. I felt like the last bastard. The only thing that consoled me was that she seemed to finally understand the situation. That day was a turning point for Penny. She lost interest in everything except Bonnie. She stopped paying attention to her appearance, lost her appetite, and seemed to have trouble sleeping. Whenever possible, she would take Bonnie and go for walks in the hills. I began to worry so much that I made an appointment for her to see a doctor. I even went with her to make sure she would actually go. The doctor prescribed her antidepressants, which slightly improved her condition. However, her mood still left much to be desired. One foggy November evening, I returned home to find Bonnie waiting for me on the porch. This alarmed me. I tried calling Penny, but her phone went to voicemail. My next step was to call the local police station. Sergeant Ed Pemberry, a friend of mine, immediately contacted the telephone company to locate her phone. The coordinates pointed to an area not far from one of the trails in the hills. Ed called the rescue team. By 8 in the evening, the group had gathered and was waiting for the rescue helicopter. But the fog became thicker and the clouds sank lower. Flying at low altitude was too dangerous for rescuers to search in the darkness and fog. We waited for the morning. With the first rays of the sun, the fog began to dissipate. Having reached the place indicated by the phone, I started calling her number. The phone was found 20 minutes later, but Penny was not with it. Rescuers found the place where she slipped and apparently dropped her phone. Half an hour later, we found her. She was unconscious, severely hypothermic, with a broken arm and ankle. Despite her injuries, she crawled about 200 meters in search of shelter. We called an ambulance helicopter, and rescuers prepared her for evacuation. I held her hand while we waited, and for a moment she came to her senses. She looked at me and smiled. "Drew, I knew you would come. Is Bonnie with you?" "Bonnie is fine, but save your strength," I said. "The helicopter is already on its way. Soon you will be in the hospital. Everything will be fine." I looked back and saw the paramedic shaking his head. When the helicopter landed, Penny tried to say something, but the noise was too loud. I leaned towards her lips to hear. "I love you, Drew. I have always loved and will always love." These were the last words she said to me. She lost consciousness when the helicopter touched down and never woke up. "What? What's wrong?" Brenda Lee was playing on the radio with a song called Asterisk Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree. "You're not in the mood at all today," she said. "When you don't sleep, it's as if you're hovering somewhere far away, and it's impossible to reach you. We're almost there. We will see your children and grandson. You should be happy." "Sorry. I know you're right. It's just that the events of the past are haunting me again. It's amazing how many important moments in my life happened on or around Christmas. I know, but you need to leave this in the past. I want to see your smile when we arrive. I promise everything will be fine." Is that all you wanted to say? "No, not everything. We are approaching a fork on the M2. Should we take the A299 or take the A2 towards Canterbury? There is no difference. I usually take the A2 and then turn into Aylsham. It's not that it's faster, I just enjoy driving through Wingham." "Okay, let's go," she said, giving me a worried look. "Are you sure you're okay? We can stop somewhere if you need to recover." "I'm fine, honestly." She looked at me again with concern. "So what has consumed you so much that you can't even talk to me? If I say that this is connected with the funeral, what will you answer?" "I would say that it's time to stop delving into the past. You weren't to blame for anything." "I know, but the autopsy was last December, so Christmas was difficult then." "Oh yes, I understand. It wasn't easy." "Yes, but now it's all over. This year will be better. I have you." She squeezed my hand. "That's right. Now you have me, the old trickster," sounded Mary's boy-child group Boney M. As we pulled off the highway, I sat back and let her drive. Penny's death shocked us all. David and Phoebe were devastated by the loss of their mother, and although I tried to hold on for them, it was incredibly difficult for me myself. It's hard to say goodbye to more than 20 years of life without tears. Since there were no signs of foul play, Penny's body was released for burial just a few days later. We arranged a funeral in Kent so that the children and the rest of her family could attend. Penny's sisters didn't seem to want to talk to me. I heard them whispering. There were rumors, and of course I was to blame. I didn't pay attention to it, but David understood everything. He was furious and interrupted the wake to deal with it. "Sorry to ruin your event, but there are rumors spreading around here that need to be dealt with. My mother, Penny, died in a slip and fall accident. She didn't do it on purpose. For that matter, she was sick and her father did everything he could to take care of her." He looked around at everyone gathered and stopped at her two sisters. It was obvious that his words were addressed to them. "My father did everything possible for my mother, perhaps even more than she deserved. He definitely did more than any of those who whisper behind their backs today. A post-mortem will take place in Penrith in 2 weeks. Anyone interested is welcome to attend. In the meantime, if you want to spread your rumors, do it anywhere but around me and Phoebe." When he finished, both women's faces were red, and they soon found an excuse to leave. I have never been so proud of my son before, not because he stood up for me, but because he stood up for what he thought was right. The autopsy lasted only a day. The doctor confirmed that he was treating Penny for depression and that her condition may have affected her judgment. The rescue team leader told the coroner about the weather conditions and how easy it was for Penny to lose her way and end up in danger. The coroner returned a verdict of accidental death. That Christmas was quiet, and we all felt the emptiness at the table. Of course, little Harry running around and Allison's new baby bump distracted us to some extent. I noticed that I was getting more attention than usual. When it was time to leave, I realized why. David and Phoebe came out to see me off. David hugged me tightly. "Take care of yourself, Dad. I can't afford to lose you too." "You don't have to worry about that," I told him. Phoebe came over too and took my hands. "What David means is that we know how hard your mom's death hit you, although you try not to show it. I wish you lived closer. You're too far away and you're there alone." "I'm not alone," I answered. "I have Bonnie." "Dad, you know what I mean. Promise me you'll think about moving here. I'll be much calmer if you're around, and little Harry adores his grandfather." I promised that I would think about it and went on my way. Bonnie was glad to see me, and I spent the new year at the Black Lion among my friends. Molly seemed to be spending more time with me. Nothing untoward, she still remained faithful to her husband, but often came in just to chat. I started going to the pub more often, gained some weight, but at least I didn't feel lonely. Late in March, I received a call that changed my life again. I just returned from a walk with Bonnie on Saturday morning. The phone was ringing when I walked in the door. I picked up the phone, expecting to hear Phoebe's voice, but instead I heard the noble intonations of Lady Caroline. "Drew, I'm so glad I found you. First of all, let me express my condolences." "Of course you can say that, Caroline." And it looks like she already said it. "But you didn't just call. How can I help you, Caroline?" Same old Drew, straightforward as always. "Yes, you're right. I need a favor. When is your Easter holiday? Any plans?" "Well, classes end on Friday, and I have to spend the week with David." "Great. Another week. Can I ask you for a favor? Do you remember how you said that houses in Oitas need to be insulated? So I'm sending out a crew this summer, but we're also replacing the windows with new double-glazed plastic ones. So it's summer. What do you need now?" "All windows are made to order here, but manufacturers do not trust the measurements we provide. Not a single window matches in size." "Caroline, this is rural Romania. There is a high probability that not a single window is standard." Yes, I know all this, but I need someone who I can trust to double-check the sizes. I will pay all expenses. I just need you to fly out, check the dimensions, and come back. They will pick you up in Adjude. Can you do it, Drew?" "Yes, I can, if it helps you." "Oh, thanks, Drew. I knew I could rely on you." The tickets arrived on Wednesday morning, and on Saturday I was already flying to Bucharest. At 20:45, I got off the train at Adjude. I entered the station building, put my bag on the floor, and looked around. I didn't recognize anyone, so I sat down and waited. "Get ready, soldier. It's time to move out." Her voice, as always, filled me with joy. I stood up, grabbed my bag, and turned towards her. Sephi, a treat for tired eyes. She hugged me and kissed me on the lips, and then hugged me tightly. "God, I'm so glad to see you, Drew." "Let's go. The SUV is outside. We'll get to Oitas, and you'll finally have a rest." I smiled, and she slapped my hand. You know what I meant. We got into the car and hit the road. I looked at her as she drove. I couldn't understand what exactly, but something had changed in her. There was sadness in her eyes. We chatted about how things were going in Oitas and what exactly I should do. I hadn't eaten anything since I got off the plane, and my stomach was growling. "Is the pizzeria in Wunsty still open? I'm starving." "Yes, I think it works. Would you like to stop by? Only if you eat and drink beer with me." She squeezed my hand. "You know, I will always have time for you." At the pizzeria, we ordered food and sat down with beer. I looked at her. "What happened, Seth? Why are you here? Why do you think something is wrong?" I look at you and see that something has changed. You look on the verge of tears. Something has happened and you need to talk to someone. Here I am. She started crying. "Why are we doing this, Drew? Why do we trust them so much? You were there. Tell me why. Do we have 'fool' written all over us?" I hugged her and let her cry on my shoulder. When the food arrived, I managed to calm her down a little. She agreed to try to eat and then talk. But apparently I opened the floodgates because she spoke before half finishing her dish. He was sent to Hellman, Clifford, my husband. Something had been wrong with us for a long time, and I thought that separation would be good for us. He wrote to me in letters how much he missed me, and I missed him too. I had the opportunity to fly him on a transport plane for the weekend, and I grabbed it with both hands. I thought it would be a wonderful surprise for him. But it turned out that it was a shock for both of us. "Oh, I have a bad feeling," I said. "I think I know where this is leading." "I don't think you can guess completely. When I arrived, it was already quite late, and I was shown to his room. I walked in and found them Drew, Clifford, and Nurse Sergeant they were doing. Well, you know. Oh God, don't tell me it was Jackie. No, it was much worse. It was a man, a nurse. Everything immediately became clear. All our problems. He's gay, Drew. And I never knew it. How could I not notice? They know how to hide it well. Perhaps he couldn't even admit it to himself. What have you done? I returned to the transport plane and flew back to Germany. And now I'm confused. What should I do, Drew? Marry me, I said. What? Marry me. You asked what you should do, and I answered. Marry me. Are you serious? It's kind of unexpected, isn't it? For me, no. I was on my way to Catterick to propose to you when you called and said you were in Germany. For me, this is not at all unexpected. Rather, on the contrary, it should have happened many years ago. She leaned back in her chair. Wow. Why didn't you ever tell me about this? I thought you had already decided to move on. You seemed somewhat distant when we called each other later, and I thought I gave you enough hints that I wanted a serious relationship from you, but you didn't understand them. That's exactly what Phoebe said. I was sure that you couldn't be seriously interested in an old fool like me. Phoebe asked if I love you. When I said yes, she made me realize that I should propose to you. But it was too late. She reached out, took my hand, and looked into my eyes. It was never too late for you. Never. I even thought that perhaps this was what was causing the problems with Clifford. I still loved you. So it's still not too late. No, it's not too late, and if you're really asking, then my answer is yes. I stood up, accidentally hitting the table, and the dishes clattered to the floor as I reached out to take her hands. She stood up too, and we leaned over the table to kiss. While we hugged, the waiters scurried around, picking up broken plates and glasses. Other visitors at first just sat and then began to applaud. When we stopped kissing, the waitress approached us with her hand outstretched. 1,000 lei for a glass and a plate. Seffi took out a 5,000 lei bill, handed it to me, and immediately hugged me and kissed me again. Other visitors cheered us on and laughed. Have you finished eating? She asked. Well, I'm definitely done with the pizza, if that's what you mean. She playfully slapped me on the cheek. You are incorrigible, you know that. That's why you love me. Maybe. Seffi paid, and we ran out to the SUV. It was hard for me to keep my hands to myself, but she pulled away as she drove. I'm not divorced yet, Drew. Well, it's a matter of time, isn't it? Yes, but it might take forever. You know how divorces happen. Yes, I know. But Clifford will try to do everything quickly. Why are you so sure? You don't even know him. That's true, but I know how much he'll want to keep his secret. He will let you get anything you want as long as you keep quiet. You know I won't do this. Of course I know, but he cannot be sure of this. Until the divorce is finalized, it needs to remain a secret. I don't want to rip him dry, Drew. I know you don't want to, but a little pressure can speed up the process. Listen, I love you. I have loved you for many years. I never thought I'd get a second chance. Now that I have it, I don't want to miss it. I can't believe this is happening to me. This morning I was miserable, and the only light at the end of the tunnel was that my friend came to see me. And now I am in seventh heaven and looking forward to a new life. We were shaking along the road and reached Oida's around 10 in the evening. Myrla, the teacher, was on duty in the house where I was to stay. She kept looking at me while I was putting my things in the bedroom. Seffi came in to make sure I had everything and then went back to the other house to sleep. After she left, Myrla came up to me and sat next to me. How are you, Drew? Okay, Myrla, very good. It's good that you are happy. Donna Caroline said that Donna Penny died, right? Yes, it's true, Myrla. It was a tragic accident. She fell off the mountain path. Understand. You're sad, right? Yes, I was very sad, but it gets easier. Donna Percy is helping you, right? I didn't answer, but I saw that she wouldn't lag behind. I think you're helping her too. This morning she was. Myrla gestured downward at the corners of her lips and looked at the floor. She went to pick you up and came back happy. You are like a magical person. I don't think there is any magic here. Oh, I think there is, between you two. Previously, when you came with pre-Mother Penny, I saw the way you looked at her as if she was very special. I saw that look again tonight when you looked at Percy's dome, and she looked at you the same way. Am I right? It's too early to say anything, Myrla, but maybe. She kissed me on the cheek. I'm very happy for you. I'll call her tomorrow for breakfast. By noon the next day, it became obvious that the entire staff was playing matchmaker. We were always asked to take the children for walks in the mountains. The kids and I had a barbecue in Lepsch, where Seffi and I were able to retire for a walk. By the end of the week, I had completed the measurements and sent them to Caroline. Seffi has decided to resign and move in with me in Ulswater. I returned home a happy man. Phoebe met me at Gatwick and immediately knew something had changed. When I told her, she was delighted. David, however, was a bit reserved. Are you sure about this, Dad? It's all so sudden. When I explained to him how I missed her the first time, he relaxed a little. Seffi's divorce was finalized in just 3 months. Clifford was interested in keeping his personal life private and agreed to any terms. She kept her word, agreeing to only half of their joint funds. Each of them kept their army pension. She easily managed to find a job in healthcare. We got married a week after her divorce was finalized. Naughty Holder sang, "Merry Christmas, everybody," as we approached the Aylsham turnoff. I looked at Percy. Next turn left, then left again, and stop at the side of the road. What? You heard, woman. Do what I say, I said with a wide smile. Oh, so domineering. Yes, sir, right now, sir, she laughed. As we pulled off the road, she turned to me. Well, what does this all mean? I hugged her and kissed her with such passion that I seemed to take her by surprise. At first, she tried to push away, but then she relaxed and kissed back. When I pulled away, her face expressed bewilderment. Wow, why is this happening all of a sudden? I just remember how much I love you and think about how much there is ahead. Well, you can remember this as often as you want. Sorry, I was a bad companion all the way. I dealt with memories and released ghosts. And you let them go. Fully. And guess what? This is the first Christmas of my new life, and I'm going to enjoy it to the fullest. Now, I know the way better than you, so I will continue to lead. We switched places, and as I sat behind the wheel, Seffi touched my cheek. It's good that you're back, she said. It's great to be home again. Now you can call Allison and tell her we'll be there in 15 minutes. I started the car and drove back onto the road. Chris Rea came on the radio again, and I started singing along. I'm driving home for Christmas. Seffi joined, and we continued on our way. Subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think click to the next one. 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 Click to the next one.